It says we're
Are we
live.
live?
Nice. Looks like we're live. Hello,
All right.
everybody. Say hello, Mr. Claude.
Hello. How are you beautiful people doing? My name is Claude.
He has a channel on YouTube, which I'll hopefully
Yes.
link here in just a second.
Yes. Take your time. Yes.
Yeah.
I have both YouTube and Twitch. Key to Darkness on YouTube and Keys to Darkness on Twitch.
Yeah. Definitely. You can put it in the chat as well, so people can click on that. So before I start posting
Uh.
my links, we'll talk about what this is about. I wanted to make a stream talking to the amazing Key to Darkness here because he's DMing
Hello.
five, count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 campaigns
Yes.
of
Give or take.
DND. Yeah. I don't know how you do it. A lot of
I
coffee, I
don't know how
assume.
to do it either.
A lot of tea, I guess, technically. You're a tea guy, not a coffee guy. Do you like coffee?
Well, I mean, yeah.
So the topic of the stream today is basically Baldur's Gate 3, how it's amazing. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about how it translates to D&D and how it's a good representation of D&D. I'm a D&D noob, and like I said, Claude here, Key to Darkness,
Mm-hmm.
Twitch, YouTube,
Yep. Thank
go
you.
check him out.
Yep.
Knows a lot more about it than I do, and he can definitely speak to that. And also, yeah, he's also a good dude to talk to. So
Yeah. Thank you for having me on here today. I am really satisfied with this game, like Baldur's Gate 3. It's definitely outdone a lot of expectations over like the 3 years it was in early development.
yeah, it's really, really fun. I mean, it's to the point where like I'm at work, I'm walking around like I'd rather be doing anything else other than this, but especially Baldur's Gate 3.
Hmm. Yeah, it's just like there are just so many things with this game that they've finely tuned from the 5e formula. And yes,
Yeah.
there have been other 5e games, such as Celeste, Crown of the Magister. But when it comes to this one, I think it is the most accurate representation of a D&D campaign, while also tweaking things to make it that much more enjoyable. There's a
Yeah.
lot that they've changed that, as a DM, I would personally use in my games, and I
Yeah.
will try to at the very least.
Yeah, one of the big things that made me want to get this game is when I saw somebody roll like a D20, I was like, I need to play this game.
Mhm.
It feels like it scratches that D&D itch, but you don't need other players to be there per se. They are fun to have other players, obviously, but you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I bought it when it was just starting into early access
Yeah.
because I just got done finishing Celasta. I'm like, oh man, I still have that D&D itch, but I want
Yeah.
to actually play some of these other subclasses. And then when Larian
Yeah.
announced that they were going to do this, I'm like, oh yeah, you know what, $60 on the table, I'm getting it right now.
Man, it feels
And
like a year and a half ago they put it in early access because I remember somebody talking about this game, but that was like a while
yeah,
ago. Yeah.
yeah, I think they put it in early access about 3 years ago, give or take,
Yeah,
Holy
because
it's
it
moly.
was
been
a
in
6 year.
early
Yeah,
access for about 3.5 years, and it just released in August at 1.0.
mhm. Yeah, and the development was 6 years, I believe, give or take.
Yeah, something
So
like that.
And the price
yeah,
is amazing
Solarian.
too.
Oh yeah, I mean, I bought it at 60. I don't know what it is now. It probably still is 60,
I think I
but
paid 50.
It is
50.
still 60 on the PC storefronts, but
Yeah.
for console releases, they are bumping the price up to 70.
Okay, that might
Oof.
just be like because it's the console versions. I don't think that was Larian decision.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, it's probably like a Sony thing. I actually want to buy
Yeah.
this game again on Sony so I could play with what's his face? Day Demon. So
yeah, I've been considering buying it myself on
yeah.
console too because I like this game a lot, and I want to give Larian as much support as I can.
Larian is such a good company. I've been following them since Divinity 2, and I've put in so many hours into that game alone, and with its unique take on the tabletop or CRPG genre and
Yeah.
how they've gone about the world building, their characters. They've always put a fine number of detail. I will say though, they also have a history of not having the resources or the time to finish the game like when they absolutely want to, because of course they are a smaller
Yeah,
company, they're a privately owned company at that. So, but
with
they always deliver
Divinity
on it.
with Divinity 2, for example, they nearly went bankrupt just to
Hmm.
maintain the quality that they strove for.
Yeah. And then over the course of the year, they like much like Baldur's Gate, they fixed some things, they changed some things, and even added official mod support for the game for those who want to experience it a whole nother way.
Oh,
Which I'm hoping for this
Alton,
game as well.
your video's not playing.
Oh yeah, thank you for reminding me. Should be playing
But
now.
yeah. Oh, wait. Oh, we're good?
Yeah, you're good. Everything's good. You can keep talking. He
Oh,
just told me
okay.
I didn't play my little background video. I wanted to play some Baldur's Gate 3 stuff for the background.
Oh, nice. Um, but yeah, Larian, they're the kind of company that even if they can't finish the game, they will definitely fix it up to the best that they can be and give you the absolute complete package. Like no microtransactions, at least not like in terms of like EA or
Yeah, definitely
2K.
not those kinds of microtransactions.
Yeah,
Those
they're
are
more like if you
ugh.
want that extra thing, here you go. Like I believe like there was a squirrel companion in Divinity 2. You know, just not needed, but it's there if you want to have a squirrel companion. So I'm actually interested in seeing with Baldur's Gate in particular. What features do you guys think that they will add to this game later on? Because we've already saw the magic mirror added in this current patch.
Yeah, the Magic Mirror is pretty awesome. I haven't used it yet, but
Mhm.
looks like it's gonna be pretty cool.
Yeah, just being able to like change cosmetically as you're playing the game. I can see a lot of
Yeah.
good role playing aspect from that.
Well,
Now,
also you don't always know how your character's gonna look until you get in game, since
or
Mhm.
you change your
sometimes
mind.
the character will look a little different when you're going through the character creation and then going into in-game cinematics.
Yeah. Not to mention, it's just like you feel as though your character is in the world of Faerun, like in
Yeah,
Sword Coast, which is amazing. It's not like if I had to compare this game to anything else, this feels a lot like Dragon Age Origin in a lot of ways.
yeah.
You've got a four-party character system. You've got plenty of other extra characters that you can, swap out. You've got a separate camp area. You've got the dialogue choices that are very similar to Dragon Age. I wouldn't be too surprised if Larian took inspiration from that as they're developing all their titles.
Well, it didn't use a lot of similar mechanics with Dragon Age, Dungeons and Dragons. Because when BioWare was first really making their games, they started with D&D properties.
Yeah. So it just kind of goes full circle then, huh?
Yeah, they even implemented these mechanics for a good while. Even Knights of the Old Republic used similar mechanics for a lot of the combat.
Mhm. Yeah, and especially going off of, just Bioware also made Baldur's Gate 2. So it's kind of funny that Larian is now making the third entry what
Yeah,
did make the third entry for this. So going back to that whole full circle thing, it's just like I believe that this game, Baldur's Gate 3, is a breath of fresh air within the gaming community. Now, of course, there are other great
mhm.
games that came out this year. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah,
but
there's been many great games, but Baldur's Gate 3 just came in out of pretty much nowhere if you didn't know about it, and
yeah,
it's
oh,
just
absolutely, I do.
decimating
Yeah.
all these things and making all these game developers just go, "What the fuck have
Yeah.
I been doing with my game?"
The only other game I could think about that has made this big of a splash in memory of me is literally Skyrim. Because I remember people that never played Elder
Mhm.
Scrolls, Skyrim came out, they're like, talk about this game. And it's like, I played Oblivion, I played Morrowind, and it feels that this game is like the Skyrim of today. It's bringing people into this whole D&D thing and also RPGs in general as well.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
could see that being there because when Skyrim dropped, even I, who didn't really know Elder Scrolls, knew Skyrim.
Yeah.
It was that big thing. And especially with Baldur's Gate now, like just the PC port alone, at the bare minimum, they have sold at least 850,000 copies,
Yeah,
which is insane to even think about that. That's just for one platform. Like, imagine what the other platforms are going to sell for as well, with the positive reputation of the PC port.
yeah, and it all how Baldur's Gate 3 works makes it so much more approachable because there are many people, like when I was first starting the tabletop,
Hmm.
I didn't know how to play. Baldur's Gate 3 shows how to really get into it in a way that I was astounded at how well it just brings you into the world of D&D.
Yeah, especially when you have like friends to go along the adventure with you. You will see that interaction in real time between all of you. Like sometimes you'll just want to goof around, beat each other up using spells. I remember like my last playthrough with Jade and a couple other friends.
Mhm.
My dwarf had Armor of Agathis on, and she wanted to try to attack my character while she was at 1 HP. I kept telling her, "Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead," and she went down after hitting me once. It's just things like that that brings you together, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me read the chat real quick. So Nintendo said pineapple pizza. You still hate me, Alkin? I guess I do. I don't know. I didn't know I hated you. Jade said, "You are my podcast while I give an old, cranky 14-year-old dog a haircut, so I will only be listening."
All right, Jade. Yeah, thank you
Jade,
for listening in.
thanks for
Yeah,
listening
thank
in.
you.
And I took my little doggo to get her, I guess, bathed and fuminated. But yeah, so she's laying down on the floor, but hopefully that keeps her from shedding because she has like so much hair on her. Dude, there's like 5 dogs on my dog when it comes to hair.
Well, at least she's ready for the winter, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, she sheds a lot, man. Like, dude, I literally like wake up and like I'll take a shower and like I'll wash my hair and I'll comb my hair, like I'll use like a comb and I'll see her dog hair and I'm like, you got to be kidding me! I just took a bath. But anyways, I didn't mean to cut off the conversation. I
No, no,
opened up
you're
the
fine.
No,
stream.
no,
Yeah,
it's
I
okay.
opened up the stream on my laptop so I could read the chats. So I was like, oh, let me just
yeah.
read these out so people
Yeah,
know
I'm
that I'm
reading
paying
chat as
attention.
well, so don't worry,
Yeah,
I'm reading as well. If something pops up that like maybe a question, then we can
yeah,
answer it as we go along.
yeah. I'm hit and miss sometimes. Sometimes I get really into the conversation and stuff like that, and I stop looking at the chat. But at that point, I'm having fun.
Yeah, I
So
mean, hey, like, we're just 3 dudes,
yeah.
just taking a short rest.
All right. So when it comes to playing this game, like obviously you were super duper excited about it, Claude.
Yeah.
What was your first impression as a DM when you were playing this game? Like just DM mind, or even just your first impression in general. And you can go to the DM stuff afterwards if you want to. Just how you felt about it,
So,
how they presented it.
so when I first played it in early access, I admittedly was a little bit skeptical about how they would properly transfer the mechanics of D&D onto this game.
Hmm.
Not to say that it couldn't be done. Like I said, Celesta has also done something like that.
Yeah.
But when I went in, I did enjoy myself. Of course, there were a lot of bugs, a lot of things that they had to fix. But as I continued playing, and as they kept adding more and more
Hmm.
fixes, adding more and more stuff, and eventually playing the final version, I felt like that as a DM,
Hmm.
this has superb storytelling. It has like many different secrets to unlock. Like the different companions each have their own story, and even characters that you don't think you're like, you'll find a reason to have them in your party, like and just want to go and explore their story.
Yeah.
And as a DM, you always want to have that for your players, have those options to
Yeah.
explore, to open up. Even if it doesn't amount to anything, just having that one interaction
Yeah.
makes it all worthwhile. And this game, perfectly establishes that narrative.
Yeah. Like one of the things I've really been liking about it is I've been playing with like y'all guys mainly. And
Mhm.
I've used the NPC characters for like a little while, but one thing about it is I love going back to camp and getting their stories. Like for instance, like I've learned about Shadowheart. Don't ask her about her past, but
Oh
I'm very
no, yeah,
intrigued
Yeah.
about her past. So it's so hard not to ask her. It's so hard.
yeah. Even for some of the
Yeah,
characters that most people won't even pick up, like
yeah.
um, uh,
Like
I'm
Halson.
not gonna, well, not just
I can't
Hausen,
I
but
can't pick
I'm
up
just
Halson anymore.
yeah. I won't say too much about the other characters,
Yeah,
but Minthara, like most players won't even realize that she's a recruitable party member.
interesting.
You guys have to figure out how to do that on your own, but no spoilers here.
Yeah,
But when you go into her story as well, it's just like it's also really interesting because you don't really think of like certain actions that you take and how
yeah,
they affect the world,
yeah. So as a person that DMs like 5 campaigns, which is a lot, by the way, how do you
Yeah.
feel as like being like a player and underneath, I guess, the game DM. Like, obviously, you said you could break the game. Like, that's how games are. You can just break them, speed
Yeah.
runs, whatever. How does it feel being a player for a change underneath this particular DM? Like, how do you feel the game DMs? Obviously, you can break the game, you can cheese the game, whatever. How do you feel the game does as a DM? Do you think that translates good for people that want to DM a campaign themselves? Like, how do you feel about the game engine as a DM?
Yeah. So I would say, like, just going based off of the balanced difficulty, because that's kind of the recommended place if
Yeah.
you want to learn how to kind of balance encounters.
Yeah.
Of course, enemies will have more HP in this version, but I would say as a player, I thought things were pretty fair.
Yeah.
Like, if I did something stupid, stupid things will happen, of course. But also, also the
Yeah, it
game,
didn't feel like it was your fault or the
yeah.
game's fault.
Not to
It,
mention, with the way things are around in the environment, you can use that towards your advantage. Like, you can push people off cliffs and
I
kill
love
them
that.
instantly.
Me
or
and Battle Puppet
destroy
did
environment
that.
pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah. And anything that can be done as a player, the enemies can do to you as well. You can be pushed
Yeah.
into that ravine and then just
Yeah.
not, like,
I
join the
cannot
party.
tell you how many times I have been pushed into a ravine and just got killed in one of the most intense parts of an encounter.
Yeah.
It's
Oh, yeah.
annoying, but it is hilarious.
But also like the
Yeah.
randomness of it too. Like for instance, me and Battle Pup were playing, like I said, 2 nights ago, and I don't remember what the race of the dude was, but you know what I'm talking about. The dude you pushed off into like the fucking chasm, whatever.
Yeah,
But
The
the
Trigon.
random
that
thing
was
that happened is he dropped the key that we needed, which was completely random, apparently, according to Battle Puppet. We just got lucky.
yeah. I didn't think that you could find the key
Yeah.
when you pushed him off because when I pushed him off, similar to what we did
Yeah.
in my playthrough, I didn't find a key.
Yeah.
So I had to find a lockpick and open up the door to his treasure trove. So
Yeah.
when I found the key when we were playing, I was really surprised.
Yeah, but not just that. Even if you don't have a key or a lockpick, even for those who are playing mages, you have the knock spell,
Yeah.
which in actual D&D, it does create a sound up to 100 feet, which, especially if you're trying to steal something that's really bad, but in this
Yeah.
game, it's just kind of like you can use knock to unlock a door and no one would say anything,
I
which
assume
is
you have to
amazing
roll
for
for
me.
it, correct?
No, it's just you pick the spell, you pick a door, and it's unlocked. There is
Oh wow.
no rolling that needs.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a
usually the
fairly powerful
spells
spell.
you don't need to roll for, but
Yeah.
there are spells like detect thoughts.
Yeah.
If you use that, sometimes you'll have to roll for it because if you roll a bad roll, you will get caught.
Oh,
Yeah,
speaking of pushing people
kind
into
of.
chasms on the stream right now, we're at the guy that
Mm.
Battle Puppet pushed into a chasm.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I was thinking of later
Yeah.
games. Excuse me. Excuse me. But yeah, I mean, even this area that I'm seeing right now, like the bugbear in particular,
Yeah.
my favorite experience as of late is that I was doing a recent campaign with this newest playthrough that I'm doing.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm playing it on Tactician, but the bugbear ran up to Housen. He did 2 critical hits against him while he was in his bear form, and then pushed him off of that cliff into the spider den, and to finish him off, he used an arrow. Over 70 plus damage in the span of 1 turn.
Jeez, that's
Yeah.
insane.
So, yes, this was on tactician mode, but even on balance, like, it's that the AI is so smart in a lot of ways that they
Yeah.
can really get around your strategy that you think would cheese. Or other encounters, yeah, you can possibly cheese them because,
Yeah.
it's not going to be one-on-one game design, I would say, but it's just things like that. You can, if you think of a solution, you can go ahead and do it. Which
Yeah,
is
that's
what I
pretty
love
awesome.
about this.
Yeah, there was actually I saw an article a couple weeks back where this guy took out the entire goblin camp by putting a bunch of explosive barrels around
Yes.
it.
I think we've all seen that at this point. It's just like I didn't even know there was that many barrels in the first
I
act,
didn't think so
to be
either,
quite
but
honest.
that was insane. And I saw another article where you can get an item in Baldur's Gate 3 that does bonus damage to your opponent, depending on how many gold they have. It's like 10 plus per 100 pieces of
Yeah,
gold.
I think it's 300 if I remember. But still, yeah, the point still remains is that you could get real crazy just by stealing gold, putting your gold in their pocket, and then just
Yeah,
they're done.
I didn't know you could do that, but the amount of things that you can do in Baldur's Gate 3 is pretty accurate to what you can do in an actual D&D campaign.
Yeah, with certain restrictions, of course. I would say
Yeah,
like there
of
are
course
some
there's
wordings
going to
of
be
spells.
restrictions.
Yeah, there are certain spells. And I'm mostly talking based off of tabletop experience. There are certain spells that you would think would interact in a certain way, but doesn't. It's mostly the wording on which Wizards of the Coast has write out their spells. They've gotten better over the years, but I remember like the 2014 Player's Handbook. There was a lot of strange words with their spells. I remember, and like especially at that time, I joined the D&D community at 2016. So having to read through all of this and be like, okay, wait a minute, why does it work like this? Why can't I, do this or do that? Whereas
Yeah,
in Baldur's Gate, it's good to visualize this.
I
And I think that would be
remember
helpful.
trying to get into D&D when 4th edition was coming around, and how they worded a lot of their player handbooks and things made it a little more confusing than it really needed to be.
Yeah. Whereas this, if someone wants to get into D&D and wants to know about at least like a good majority of, I guess you could say starting spells. Like there's a lot of players' handbook spells in this, but you also got spells from
Mhm.
Tasha's and Xanathar's. If you want to visualize like what a spell can do, just pull up this game, get that spell, and just cast it, and then maybe you'll get an idea of like how you can do it in your games.
Yeah, the visual representation that the game Baldur's Gate 3 does really does help.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite is Mage Hand.
Mage
Yeah.
Hand's very useful.
It's
And
extremely
it's very
useful.
different in like the tabletop because in the tabletop you just have it. You could just with you. Whereas this is of course a timer and I've noticed that some interactions like I had a mage hand for my current playthrough like with you guys
Yeah,
and I didn't realize I turned invisible. So I wasn't an arcane trickster, so I was kind of confused as to why that was happening. I was a druid. So
yeah,
maybe had to do with Circle of the Moon stuff, but that's the thing. It's just like secret interactions like that where it just changes up
yeah.
things. I think one of my favorite changes is like what they have done with the monk class. Like, not gonna lie, 5e monk is the weakest of all the classes. Not to say that there isn't any good stuff with the monk, but
Yeah.
after level 6, they just don't work. A
I've
lot of
heard
their things are
monks
just
can
like,
move a lot though. Or at least there was a dude I talked to in my work like last year, and he played a monk. He obviously played a monk with something else. Maybe the other part was the other class. Maybe went into this, but
mm,
I remember he was always talking about how he has so much movement or he's like so fast or something like that. Like, is that like a monk
Yeah,
thing or?
yeah.
monks can move a lot, but they're only really good, at least from my experience playing one for a bit in Baldur's Gate 3, is once they hit a certain level or get within the
Yeah.
campaign a lot, they don't really become very viable option.
All right.
Yeah. Whereas I think Larian's take is like they've made a lot of change. I'm gonna specifically talk about the Way of the Open Hand because that's what I've been playing the most.
All right.
So their 5e version of Wholeness of Body is just that you regain hit points equal to 3 times your monk level. And that's it. And it takes an action. A lot of the times you will want to just fight stuff, just not knock them once and just be done. But in Baldur's Gate, not only does it take an action to do this, which is fine, you still heal from this, but I believe you also regain your key points, like I think like 2 key points, as
Yeah, I
well as
think
gaining an extra
that's right.
bonus action for 3 turns. That
Hmm.
just made this ability so much more better. Like, and people have already broken the game based off of this alone compared to the thief rogue subclass, which
Yeah.
that's another change. Starting at 3rd level, 5e thieves can use a bonus action to use their cunning action to make a dexterity sleight of hand check. That's whatever, and it wasn't exactly all that good. But in Baldur's Gate, they permanently get an extra bonus action. So pairing the monk and the thief you have 3 bonus actions for, let's just say, like flurry of blows if you're doing open hand, about 30 to 50 damage for 1 bonus action. So imagine 3 bonus actions, 150 plus damage, plus your double attacks. You can easily get up to, I want to guess, maybe 150 plus damage at level 9. So it's
And
just crazy what you can do, like in this game when it comes to the monk, and
I
even
thought
the
me playing sorcerer was getting broken. That is insane.
but not just that, they also gave monks. I don't know if this is uh, a base monk thing for Baldur's Gate 3, but you could also choose what elemental type you can have your bonus action attacks, like
Yeah, I think you can
between
do that. Yeah.
radiant, necrotic, and psychic, which that already opens up a lot for monks, like to get over certain resistances and add bonus damage to that. Like monks don't get that naturally, so monk got a lot of love in this game.
Yeah, I just chose the fighter because it seemed like the most straightforward, and I get to use a sword. So I was like,
Yeah,
yes.
fighter, like I said, is one of the easiest classes to pick up. It's also one
Yeah,
of the most versatile. It's also a base class for a
yeah,
lot of these subclasses. Like the
yeah,
gunslinger is a fantastic subclass for it.
yeah.
Yeah, but not just that. Like a lot of people will take levels of monk just for that coveted action surge, just getting that extra action
Yeah,
to use on anything.
the action surge alone makes multi-classing with fighter just amazing and
Hmm.
adds so much more stuff to it.
Ooh, I got a question.
Yeah.
So I'm like watching the gameplay in the background. So you're talking about like how people like break the game and like talking about like stats and like monks and stuff like that. Is there any thing that Baldur's Gate 3 does correctly, which is just like a hack for the tabletop version of D&D? Like they just do it perfectly. You're just like, yes,
I would say it's kind of hard to. How should I say this? When
yeah,
you're in the tabletop setting, it's a cooperative effort. You're working with your party to overcome certain
yeah,
obstacles. However, if you're creating a build that one shots everything, that can also
mhm,
take away from a player's experience. Like
yes,
you set things up, like your DM's like, okay, you're fighting a beholder right now. He's big, he's
yeah,
bad. He's been causing you so much grief. And then the monk, if you're going based on Boulder Gate
yeah.
3 mechanics, oh, I just, hit him a couple times, he's dead.
Yeah,
What
that
do I
was the
get?
issue of my D&D campaign is that I told you about the one dude that was like literally like a god. He was also the co-DM. That was his thing. He just did so much damage and he had so much HP. It's like nobody can kill him, and it just made
Yeah.
a lot of encounters like not fun, but also it's just like, why don't you come in here and kill this thing so I don't die?
I
Since
would say
you,
it can
yeah,
work if you speak with your DM about it and make
yeah,
it to where that your DM's not going to be sideswiped. Oh, wait a minute, I could do 100 plus damage at level 3. Why didn't I know about this?
yeah,
Or just like trying to pull wool over your DM's eyes is a
yeah,
really bad thing. Whereas this game, since it is single player and you're really not interacting with other people, I would say it's fine. Hey, go all out. It's 200 plus
yeah,
damage. Hey, that's awesome. You're
yeah.
getting
You're
through
not
the game.
ruining
You're
anybody else's
experiencing the story.
experience.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I guess that's another big thing between that. It's just
Yeah,
like the player interactions and like the different sense. You can't go into Baldur's Gate 3 thinking that D&D is just going to be a single
yeah,
player game. I've seen plenty of players thinking like,
yeah,
hey, if I do this myself, then
hmm,
I will have the best experience. I'll just let you know now,
yeah,
that's typically not how it works because if you are trying to play a single player game at the table,
yeah.
you're going to alienate the other players who want to interact with the story, or especially if you split the party too many times,
Well, they call that main
you know?
character syndrome.
Yeah, and in a lot of ways it
yeah,
can be, but
Yeah,
sometimes players just don't know that they're trying to be a main character and just be like, hey, I want to explore outside, but the party
yeah.
wants to stay inside.
Yeah, a lot of times that's what happened in my campaign of D&D, the last one I did, was a lot of people would want to do something, but they wouldn't do things based off what other people were doing, which, if that's your character's traits, whatever, but it was just everybody was doing it, and it's like the amount of times I would try to work with the player to do something, and they would just do something completely opposite. It was just like, work with me, please.
Yeah.
yeah. I could see that working if you split the party into groups,
Yeah,
but if that's happening with every single encounter
Yeah.
or even just interaction, that can deviate from what
It was
D&D
it was
inherently
literally
is.
every interaction was people having main character syndrome. So like you would ask a question setting up for somebody else and they would just completely just not do it. They would want to do something completely different. Like let's just say there's an example would be like a character has a key that we need and there's a person that can steal. So I might be like, "Oh, I'm going to walk up." I walk up to them and I ask them, "Hello, good sir. How are you doing today?" While they're facing me and the other person is behind them, they wouldn't go grab the key even though that's what we need and we've established we need that. It was just like, "Oh, I want to go steal stuff from this pot over here." Because there might be it was just very very disconnected and it kind of like took me
Yeah.
out of it, which what I like about Baldur's Gate is that the single player aspect, you're in control of all the characters, but also I feel Baldur's Gate 3 is a really good game to play D&D style stuff with other people because we're all having fun.
Yeah.
Well,
Especially,
just
like
the
I said. Oh, go
other
ahead.
day when we were playing, that is the experience I remember fondly when it comes to D&D stuff is when all the players are playing together
Yeah.
and working together.
Hmm.
It almost feels that the way that Baldur's Gate 3 is, like, obviously, it's like I said, the rules of the game are pretty much set in stone. It's like the laws of physics. It's just the way things are, to the point that I feel when I'm playing Baldur's Gate 3 with y'all guys and other people that we are more likely to work together than in D&D tabletop, because, and obviously this depends on who the DM is, because the DM might allow
Yeah.
something, might not allow something, but when it comes to the game, it's pretty much set in stone what they're going to allow, which in a way makes us more likely to work together and strategize.
Yeah, a good DM would typically, like, if you have an idea
Yeah.
and you don't think it will work with the rules, you can always just say, you know what, give it a try. Let's see how it plays out. I
Yeah.
like doing that for my, as it
Yeah.
not only gives them a
Yeah.
sense of accomplishment when they fail, but,
Yeah.
or not fail, succeed. But if they fail, they'll be like, oh, wait a minute, yeah, I tried this. It might create a different
Yeah.
interaction that I can possibly take advantage of, you know?
So do you think Baldur's Gate 3 is going to affect or has affected you as a DM since playing it, like at all? Like
Oh,
is there anything?
absolutely. I think in a lot of ways it has. I'm still DMing the same style that I have, but
Yeah.
I'm also taking into consideration the changes that this game has made to like spells, items, and different types of class features.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how I'll be able to implement it,
Hmm.
one for one,
Yeah.
considering that yeah, it's more or less the same system, but
Yeah.
I would say in terms of monsters, like my players now know like what a monster looks like. I was talking with Jade last night when we
Yeah.
were having our other D&D campaign.
Yeah.
I brought up the doppelganger, and she's like, "Wait a minute, doppelganger, Baldur's Gate 3?" Because at some point
Yeah.
you'll fight a doppelganger, and it's interesting that players now know what they visually look like. Now I
Yeah.
could give them images, but the fact that they already know really does help me out. It saves me a lot of time in explaining
Yeah.
what these things are. You know?
Especially because you can only describe something so much to give people an idea of what it looks like.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like when you read a book and they describe a character, it really comes down to how that particular person reads what they're or interprets what they're reading.
Yeah, and not just that, but even for something just like cosmetic, I've been using this game's character creator just to design NPCs.
Yeah.
And it really does help out a lot if you want to just have that cosmetic choice, like give yourself
Yeah.
players like a visual, because there's not a lot of
Yeah.
free ways of going to get character designs for your NPCs.
Yeah.
So with this, hey, pay $60, you get a game and a
Yeah.
character simulator, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get a game and a character creator.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
And that's also another thing. Like you can create
Yeah.
a character through Baldur's Gate 3 and understand for the most part what you can and cannot do in terms of making
Yeah.
a character in D&D.
Yeah, and the character creation, like I was hoping to be a little bit more like the Skyrim thing, where like you can like obviously like move the stuff around, but it's really in depth, like really in depth. Like my
Oh yeah.
character, I kind of just rushed through it because I was trying to play the game of Jade. She spent probably three times as long on her character as I spent on mine. She's like, "Let's get in the game. I don't want to make her wait." It's like, all right, hurry up and wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, her character
And the
looks good
thing
though.
with this is that I also wish they would add like certain subclasses that I
Yeah,
feel were a missed opportunity. Like
yeah,
the Aberrant Mind Sorcerer. They're all about psionics and using psychic spells.
yeah,
I
Yeah,
think that's due to the limitation of Baldur's Gate 3 being set in
Yeah.
that universe. So
that could be it
Exactly.
too. Yes.
they probably didn't want to take away from the setting with all
But then
these
again,
different
a lot of the
classes.
abilities that you would get in this game, I'm not going to spoil what it is. It takes some aspects from the Emperor Mind Sorcerer, which I found,
Yeah.
you know, kind of strange, but I get it, as well as like certain things like paladins definitely got to change. Like instead of getting
Yeah.
your oath at third level, you get it immediately at first level, which I think it's great. But at the same time, if you break your oath early on, you're kind of stuck as that class. You
Yeah.
cannot use withers to change your class until you pay 1,000 gold to
Ooh,
renew your oath.
that's a lot of gold
Which makes
Well,
sense. I mean, you break
for
your
me
oath,
right now,
so.
at least. At least right now.
well, you'll find gold pretty quickly, especially if you just look for everything in Baldur's Gate 3. That's not entirely possible in D&D, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and D&D is just you pray to your god, maybe some rolls will be rolled, and there you go, you got your oath. You don't have to pay money just to
Yeah.
renew it.
Do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing?
Honestly, for a video game like this, it works because you will want some kind of way to give your players like an incentive to get the oath back. Oh, hey, you want to be an oath breaker, or do you want to pay 1,000 to get your oath back?
Yeah.
However, I see a lot of players not wanting to break their oath, so that way they can change their classes should they want to multi-class.
So how does one break thy oath?
Well, mostly if you do evil actions, or you
Okay.
do say like make deals with certain entities, or you do things that would break your oath, so to speak. Like if you're a devotion paladin, all
Yeah.
about protection and everything, you just don't go slaughtering innocent people. That sort of thing.
Yeah. But I'm pretty sure with Baldur's Gate 3, you can find creative ways to get them to become people you can slaughter if you need to. I'm assuming.
Well, yeah, there are ways of getting around it because, like for example, if you have like your paladin in a different area and then
Yeah.
have another party member do the evil interaction, that won't break your oath because your character's not there to do it.
Yeah. Nice.
So, I mean, that kind of applies to D&D as well because there have been plenty of times paladins and clerics will try to do the good thing while the party is just doing
Yeah.
some evil actions on the side, like doing the whole like
Yeah.
babysitter thing. Oh, why? Why? I left you alone for 5 minutes.
Yeah. The best person that represents that is the guy we were playing with the other night or the other day, Derek. You leave him alone for even 2 minutes. And it's like you walk back and it's just everything's broken, everything's on fire, and it's like, what did you do?
Good
It's
on
like that
Derek.
scene from Tommy Boy, where it's like I don't know if you've seen the movie. It's got what's his face, Chris Farley, and like he
Yeah,
actually
I
like
think I've
basically
seen it.
yeah he acts like he's like trying to like fill up gas in the car, and like the door's open, he like backs up, and like the car door hits the gas thingy. And like rips the door off, so he puts it back on. So like whenever David Spade's character comes out and opens the door, it falls off. He's like, "What'd you do?"
Yeah, that's kind of my games in a lot of ways. Like
Yeah,
I love my players. My players do a fantastic job with their role
yeah,
play and everything. And I would say like with Baldur's Gate 3, it would definitely help them out a lot.
yeah,
Like understanding the mechanics and everything that goes into like spells
yeah,
and like actions and such.
yeah. I'm loving Baldur's Gate 3 so far, and it's definitely I feel it's a very good representation of what I've played with D&D. Obviously, y'all two have more experience than I do, but
Mhm.
it just feels that this is a good like, hey, this is kind of what it's like to play D&D, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I would
it's a
say.
really good representation.
Yeah,
Oh, absolutely. I would say though, nothing's gonna replace the actual feeling of being at a table or even a Discord server and just
yeah,
going at it because, especially since in this game you're limited to only level 12 at the
yeah,
max.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things you will be missing out versus the actual game. Now, granted, a lot of D&D games do not go past level 12 to begin with,
yeah,
mostly because of the aspect of game-breaking
yeah,
spells or effects and whatnot.
Also,
But
there are times where people can get worn out from long campaigns, and
yeah,
then the leveling can get pretty intense. And then there are
yeah.
times where when you get to towards level 20, there are not very many creatures you can encounter that would be a match for level 20.
Yeah, even the old mighty Tarask with its 600 HP, a lot of players can fly at even 6th level. They can just fly above it and just pelt it with certain types of spells.
Yeah.
That's not being reflected, of course.
Yeah.
And just kind of like eliminate that world-ending boss in just a few short encounters.
Yeah, and that's if you're not doing a homebrew, where homebrew things can just take what you know from D&D
Yeah.
and just go ham.
Yeah.
That was the issue
And I
with the
think
last
this game
campaign
does
we
a lot
tried
of
to do.
homebrew.
Well, so I was saying that's what happened the last campaign. Me and Battle Puppet tried to join is that they wanted to do homebrew, but they weren't going to basically expand on certain things they needed to. But homebrew is super fun. I like the homebrew. Like
Oh,
the
yeah.
campaign I played had homebrew in it, and it made it a lot more interesting than I thought it was going to be.
I would say
Yeah,
if you're going to
homebrews can work.
homebrew an entire campaign, you really need to set yourself down and think about, okay, you don't need to think about the actual world, every single location. No, start off small. Start off with an NPC. Okay, where's that NPC live? In this town.
Yeah.
Okay, where is this town located? In this place. And then just
Yeah.
work the lore around that, and then you have yourself a setting,
Yeah, because like the homebrew that they wanted to do in the campaign was they wanted to make it like Red Dead Redemption 2, but they didn't really specify if there was going to be magic or not. And so I remember Jay was like really wanting to know, like, okay, if there's going to be magic, like, can you explain like why there's magic there so I can make my character? And it was just that was like where we kind of got hung up on. But homebrew is super fun, but it does take a little work from what I can tell.
Oh, it absolutely
Yeah,
does.
it does.
Yeah.
Like I've spent my homebrew world like over the last 7 or 8 years, just like throughout my many campaigns in this one world, just expanding upon it. I've got several maps, several different NPCs that have grown and interacted with the world, and we are on our, I want to say, because in one of the other current games, it's now set in the 1950s, and the campaign started in the early 12th century. So we've got hundreds of years of lore building and like interactions between all the player characters as well.
Yeah.
That when it comes together, it is a fantastic feeling.
Yeah.
But I know that like even with my own players, when they try to do a D&D campaign, it's very difficult. Like as a DM, like you really need to like have patience, have time to set down and look at like what things do, and even just not burn yourself out doing it.
Yeah. Also, when you're talking about the whole, like when you're talking about like the campaigns, or not the campaign, but the world's been going on forever. Like I remember Jay told me her character is technically a legacy character, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, her current one, Tanafi, is technically a legacy character. She ended off that last campaign at I think like 11 or 12, something like that. But due to her opening up a brothel in her goddess's name, the goddess got mad.
Classic Jade.
And she lost her clerical powers and found herself a new god, and she's now reverted. She's now level 5. Great, but now she made a goddess mad after all the work that her goddess did for her family in particular. Yeah, it isn't just her that, because her name is Timor, the goddess of luck. So when you take away the luck from Tanafi's family, bad stuff is going to start to happen.
Woo. I love Tanafi as a character.
Oh, absolutely.
Even like the clips you posted on your YouTube channel, like I watched them, I was like, that is funny.
Yeah, Tanafi is one of my favorite characters so far in terms of like these campaigns. Like she's just so a lot of people would think that she's dumb. She's not dumb. She just doesn't know a lot of things. She's very wise as a person, And
she's not book smart. She's street smart.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's what she said as well.
Yeah. She didn't say that to me. That's just whatever you say that's what comes to mind. Yeah. Kind of goes into like whenever I meet people that went to college or like have a degree in something, and they kind of like take this like I'm smarter than you because I have a degree. Doesn't mean you're smarter than me. It just means you are better reading books, or you got a little piece of paper that says you know something. It doesn't mean you're smart.
Yeah. Especially with Tanafi being a legacy character, there's a lot of room for her to interact with the other players, being like, okay, wait a minute. Why is this thing? Like, do you know of these things? I would feel that would open up a lot of things, like story-wise, as someone who might know a lot more of this world,
Oh, that would make her a fun character for you as a DM, because you could be like, oh, you can bring back old characters maybe that she should know.
And we have. It's like Yeah, it's actually been interesting, but I also like to try to not make it like as she was the important character. No, I mean she's in the same boat as everyone else.
Yeah.
She got arrested along with the rest of the party, and now they need to figure out how to get off that island in between jobs.
Oh dang. Yeah, I'm kind of
Yeah.
sad you kind of had to stop streaming that you know, the campaign, but I understand why. Sometimes when people are on stream, they feel like I need to perform, for the audience. But
Yeah,
it's
I
it's
mean it wasn't
understandable.
just that, but if you go and look through that campaign, there was a lot of problems like
Yeah.
foreshadowed since episode 1.
Yeah, I
Like,
literally watched I think 3 of your streams, and I remember just
mhm.
the amount of times it would just be like trying to figure something out, or somebody ask a question, it's like, all right, let's figure this out real quick. It was just like, oof.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think one of the other main reasons that I stopped is that I actually stopped having fun with that campaign around that time. I think
Yeah.
like in the tournament arc at episode like 6 or 7,
Yeah.
mostly because no one. How should I say it? Like it just there was not that sense of teamwork per se, and was
Yeah.
mostly due to one player. I won't mention his name, if he's listening. Hi, but
He's not going to be listening.
I'm just he was a
Future
problem
proofing.
player.
Future proofing.
Yeah, future
Yeah.
proofing. There we go. He was a problem player.
Yeah.
Like he would always question my decisions, whether it be based off of like mechanics wise. I remember the big thing during the tournament arc, and
Yeah.
he talked about, oh wait a minute, you can't do this as a monk. And even though I've played monks, I love monks.
And also, you're
Really
the DM,
question
so you're
that.
the end all be all when it comes to the rules.
And so, doing
Yeah.
my due diligence, well, a little bit angry, I went through the book, and of course, it's exactly how I wanted. So we wasted 10 minutes just by doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not to mention, I worked with his character 3 times. We redid his character about 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
Just
James
so
told
that
me
way
that
he
he
would
wanted
fit.
another redo as well. But
Yeah, another redo, which is fine. If you don't think your character would flow
Yeah.
well this way, I can work with you. But he would
Yeah.
implement things way too early without
Yeah.
my approval. Be like, hey, wait a minute, where did you get this spiritual dragon? Oh, I've had it. No, I was saving it for a moment.
Yeah.
You don't just spring things up like that. And like suddenly, we had to let him go. Like we tried to have
Yeah.
a group meeting, just to talk
Yeah.
about the problems, and most of the players they were fine with it.
Yeah.
But this one guy, he just not he would say he's listening, but he left on his own terms. We'd never heard from him since.
Yeah.
So,
And
which
maybe he
is
did y'all
fine.
guys a favor, honestly. Based off what I've heard from Jade, it just sounds like it was probably for the best, to be honest.
Yeah, not to mention, like, especially uploading this to YouTube. Like,
Yeah.
I can't imagine the people watching those streams now. And just like, hey, if you guys watch through all those episodes, I thank you for that. I am so sorry for like the way things were handled. It was I really wanted to do a
Yeah.
live D&D campaign,
Yeah.
and it's just sad
Yeah.
that I had to end it like that,
I
like
mean, even when
leaving
it
that
comes
story
down to it,
incomplete.
so a lot of people think like it's a bad DM or a bad player. Sometimes DMs and players just don't mingle well. It doesn't mean you're a bad
Yeah.
player or a bad DM. It just maybe y'all just aren't meant to be in a campaign together, or as a DM or player, or vice versa.
Yeah, and I'm not faultless either. I've definitely made some mistakes in that campaign.
Oh,
That
I know. I know. I've
yeah.
seen. I've seen it. I seen it. Jay told
You've
me
seen
about
it,
it.
yes. Yeah, if I make a mistake, I will look through it, and then if I am wrong, I will apologize first, and then correct the mistake. I am willing to jump that like immediately and try to
Jade
make it
made
work
me
for the
take a
players.
picture of my pinky and my other pinky co-mingling each other to say I pinky promise I would not tell you exactly what she complained about. I'm joking. She didn't make me do that. I just thought it'd be funny to say.
And look, hey, I'm know Jade has her gripes with how I DM in certain aspects as well, which is fine. I would love to continue working with
She
her, and I
does?
have continued. Yeah.
Dude, she has never said anything other than positive stuff about
Well,
you.
I mean, not necessarily like through my DMing alone, just like interacting with that player.
Like as
know?
far as she's concerned, you seem like a Grecian god. Like just chiseled out of marble with this,
Yeah.
not even a
I probably should have.
pack,
I
a
probably should
12
have
pack.
reworded that. Yeah, not
No.
necessarily with my DMing styles, but just kind of like how, like her gripes with how she's feeling about certain games. Which I try my best to make sure that she is welcome at
Yeah.
our games, and like especially with our Sunday
Yeah.
game, like she enjoys that. She loves it. But still, the point I'm trying to make is that when it comes to Jade
Yeah.
and my other players, I value them highly. And when it comes to making sure they're comfortable with the game, I will go through and make sure that they are like they're fine with whatever's happening. Like if I make a mistake, I will correct it. If they feel like they need to change some things, I'll work with them. You
Yeah.
know, that's just a part of being a DM.
So my thing about Jade, and this is also a joke, by the way, it's true, but the last part's a joke. Is the best thing about Jade, she speaks her mind. But the worst thing about Jade, she speaks her mind. The
Well,
last part's
yeah.
a joke, obviously.
Well, I mean, I do like it that how Jade also like I've
Yeah.
played D&D with Jade for years at this point.
Yeah.
She was one of my first players, you know, through these new sets
Yeah.
of campaigns over the years, and she's wonderful. Like she definitely goes all out with her characters. She has good ideas, and some of the ideas that she does throw, I've changed the story for the better because she interacted in a sort of way, you know. So
Yeah.
it works.
Yeah, even with Baldur's Gate 3, like I downloaded the game like like maybe like a month ago, and I didn't play until like 2 weeks ago, I think. Might have been a week or two ago, and just her outlook on it was just like the perfect person that you want to play D&D with when you're starting.
Mm.
Is that it's almost like, so sometimes you start playing with people that play D&D, like they'll kind of teach you, you know, some people are better teachers than others, but there's some people that are like okay, I'll just teach you. But there's some people like super excited and they're like super into like teaching you about things, telling you about things, telling you about possibilities when it comes to D&D, and also Baldur's Gate 3, a lot of possibilities. She just
Yeah, I
seemed
love
really
that. A lot of
excited.
possibilities.
Yeah, she really seemed very excited just to teach me about things. And she also found it very funny that I kept walking in fire by accident.
Honestly, I do that a lot as well, and
Yeah,
it's just like it's just that
yeah,
fact that like when I keep bringing up Jade. Hi, Jade. When she first started playing D&D with me,
yeah,
it was confusing for her. She did
yeah,
try, but because we've developed that sense of like understanding between DM and player,
yeah,
she got used to the rules and now she's recommended it to other people.
yeah,
Like she's getting highly into Dungeons and Dragons, which as a DM, that's the best thing I could hope for.
yeah. Yeah, hopefully I can find it. Well, obviously Battle Puppets campaign. Hopefully that one works for me. I definitely liked
Yeah.
D&D, but like my experience with you know who I'm talking about, Battle Puppet, was not very very good. It was very very bad. And hopefully your campaign, knock on wood, goes a little bit better.
Yeah,
I hope so too.
I'm hoping so too. So
Yeah, it was funny because the other day when we were playing Baldur's Gate 3, I remember hearing "Badoop" on Discord, and I was like, I wonder who that is, because like I was only had one screen at the time, and I heard you talk. I was like, oh my God, Claude's here!
yes,
You
I'm
gotta
here.
jump in.
I think I had some free time. I'm like, hey, how's everything going? And you know what? I'll join for a little bit.
Jade said
I'm
hello,
still here,
by the way.
yes, just
Yeah.
listening. Yes, hi Jade. Yeah, like you are a fantastic player. Thank you. I love having you in my games.
Jade, I'm not going to tell you what he said before we started the stream. He had a lot of stuff to say about you. All
Oh yeah, how
positive.
Allegedly.
All positive.
yeah, like how Tanafi is the best player ever, and that she has never like did anything evil in her campaign. She's a complete saint.
That brothel, completely okay with God. Completely
Yeah,
okay with God.
completely okay.
God gave the okie dokie, said you're good to go. Just what happened afterwards, that was just happened, man. You know, can't
It
control
just
everything.
happens. And I think
Yeah.
that's another big thing. Like for the comparisons between Baldur's Gate
Yeah.
and D&D, like there are some things you can control and there are some things you cannot. I think that's another good comparison because both
Yeah.
games actually do that. There are some things you can control, like
Yeah.
the environment, like the players, but there's also a
Yeah.
lot of things that you can't control. I remember I was in the Underdark section. I was on some kind of boat.
Yeah.
These Draugr came by, and like I was going to fight them, but immediately the one Draugr in front of me pushed Karlak into the water, and then the other guys proceeded to knock my guys into the water as well. I was down to one player, and everyone else was floating down the stream saying hi, bye.
Give me a second. Somebody's calling me.
Jade says, LOL, I've been here the whole time, so whatever you said on stream I've heard. And to be honest, I have full faith in Claude, and he never had mouth. He never had mouth. I think the worst thing I've ever said was that sometimes Claude is too nice. Yes, that is my problem. I am way too nice when it comes to anything really. You know,
I've been
I
told that too. I
yeah
know the feel.
yeah that's a flaw that I have, which is great, but also like some people need a good kick in the rear. He's gotten
Yeah,
better. Yeah, I've definitely gotten better with it.
I
Thank
will
you,
tell you
Jade.
one thing is that whenever like I remember like the whole like smoker woman voice whatever like that was like my thing. I guess Jay was like, oh cool, I'm gonna go check out a stream. I remember when she joined my stream, I was basing her off of you, not like in general, but just like the wholesomeness of your streams and like how you don't curse. I was like, oh crap, she's in my chat. I shouldn't be cursing. I need to be good. And then you get her in a voice call and she freaking curses more than I do.
He
Oh no,
curses like a
she's.
freaking sailor on
And
steroids.
I
Oh
was
yeah,
a
she has no
sailor.
filter.
I was a sailor and she curses more than me. It's like, what the hell,
I
man?
know, right?
Yeah, I try to be filtered because that's kind of how I am. But when Jade's on my stream, I just let her, go with it. Of
Yeah,
She
you
did
course,
go
just let
over.
her
She didn't go over
go
the top.
full ham.
I'm not gonna lie. Part of the reason I want you to play Danganronpa is it's like a mind f for me to hear you curse.
oh well, I mean, listen, I mostly curse when dialogue. I will curse every now and then,
Yeah,
but I don't go out in public and say like such obscenities. I mean, I'm even reserved with my friends for the most part. I mean, I
yeah.
might curse every now and then, but that's just kind of the guy I am.
Like
I
whenever you
Yeah,
have
I
drop your
try not
first f
to.
bomb.
representation.
Yeah,
I try not to curse very much, but it's not because I have a son or anything. I curse just as much as I would usually around him. I just try to make sure it's within the context of a conversation, not just for the sake of it.
Hmm.
next thing you know,
Yeah.
he's like in the background saying "F you, you freaking b."
Well, his first
Well,
word was bitch,
Good, good. That's a good first word. Strong word. Good
and
word.
that's not
that's a
because of
strong
me.
word.
It's because of my wife. She says that a lot when she's driving and there are these bad drivers in front of her.
Yeah, and as a voice actor, I need to get used to being not necessarily comfortable with swearing. I mean, it's just a word after all, but just kind of like get in my mindset of, okay, I'm playing this guy that takes no crap. Like
Yeah,
Raubon, for instance, punk ass bitches, that sort of thing. Just
Raubon with his stoutness and not willing to take shit from
yeah,
anybody.
Dude, I
yeah,
still can't
exactly.
get over the fact I was literally watching those videos, and now I'm talking to the guy who's in charge of Relpont. I'm just like, what the heck?
Yeah, honestly, I was surprised as you are because my audio quality, I don't know how it is right now,
Yeah,
but it's just like it was boosh. I was using my headphones, to record on
you were
my
using. Just
iPhone.
admit it, you're using a snowball. You used a snowball as a microphone, didn't you?
No, not when I first started as Robot. No, I used my actual like my
Yeah,
Bluetooth headphones
yeah,
and my iPhone for recording. And the fact that I even got it and the quality is still up on RAB Tunes
yeah.
channel is just amazing to me.
It's just
And
crazy to think I literally like 2 years ago was playing the game. I was like, oh, YouTube video, funny, And I literally watched your character talk on screen, and like, dude, I think it was like maybe like 4 months ago, like you like mentioned your route. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, he
Wait,
mentioned that
what?
about 4 months
yeah,
ago.
Yeah,
yeah, give or take. Yeah, I mean, I voiced Raubon. I think that's the only role I've. No, I didn't lie. I was a background pirate in that same
yeah,
video as well. But still, it's just like the fact that I even got that was amazing. Now,
yeah.
keep in mind, I have not been able to get any more roles on Mario Tunes because there are other people better for those roles. But the fact that I even have a voice role on a channel like his, just
A
chef's
concurrent
kiss.
voice roll.
Yeah,
Concurrent.
exactly, a concurrent voice role. I
Yeah.
mean, I could try to continue sounding like Raubon, although it's a little hard putting it straight in my voice, just
Yeah.
keeping it much deeper.
Yeah, it's funny because like when you did your like little cast call for your dot hack thing, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm so nervous. Like I don't know if I should do it. And I remember like there was one point where like I told ChatGPT to write me a description, and I used the term empty milkies to describe Jade. And I read it out, and I was like, should I do it? He's like, you should do it. You got some pipes on you, bro. She didn't say those,
Yeah,
but
honestly,
that's the
hey,
gist of it.
the best thing you can do in terms of like voice acting is just to put yourself out there. If you think that you can do this, let me hear your take. Especially with GUA. Not to
Yeah,
get off to topic of today's stream subject, but for the kind of content I do dot hack
yeah,
content. More specifically, I do .hack GU Abridged,
Yeah.
and a lot of the times I need voices for these episodes. Like this current episode that I'm doing, there is about 8 or 10 voices that I
Yeah.
needed for this, which is why episode 6 has been taking as long as it has. So that's what I mean. If you want to try to voice in the future episode, hey, let me know. Just we'll set something up.
Yeah, a lot of it for me is
put you.
just making sure I'm in like the right frame of mind to do it. And like the thing about it is like it was always like late at night. I was just like, I should just do it. And then I guess I just got in my own head and I just didn't do it. Now I'm just like, screw it, we'll do it next time. We'll do it
Because
live.
the only thing you need is your voice and a microphone. Now, I've heard some auditions, for my stuff. I wouldn't necessarily call them good, and that's
Yeah.
just kind of how it is. But the fact that if you put yourself out there, regardless if it sounds absolutely dog water, then I have more respect for you because you put yourself out there,
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Voice acting and D&D kind of go hand in
Yeah.
hand,
Yeah.
Yeah, hey, thanks for the plug.
Hey, I
they
try to
go
plug
hand in
everybody
hand.
as low as I can.
Yeah, and like for me, when it comes to dungeon mastering, it
Yeah.
definitely helps with the voice acting as well because I could put my voice just a little bit higher, maybe a little bit more emphasis on certain words, or perhaps I can, try to slow things down, making sure that my voice
Ooh,
sounds
60
a
clad,
little bit
nice.
more, yes, a little bit more sultry, as it were.
My voice does not go that high. Okay, this is off topic, but this is a conspiracy theory that I have. I used to be able to do high voice, and then when I was like 14, I was drinking hot cocoa. Yes, hot cocoa, the best cocoa is hot.
Oh my.
Yes, and I burned my throat, and ever since then, if I try to do like a high pitched voice, my voice just cracks now. Like, or it doesn't even crack. Like, it just will not go. It's literally just air coming out.
Strange.
Yeah. What kind of voices do I need? I don't need any voices right now, but when I start getting into like later episodes, like the next casting call for 7, I will probably have up. I don't know when exactly, but by then, I'll host
Yeah.
an audition, like a public audition for people to try out, and then, hey, if you're in one of our discords, I'll put the audition in there, and then hey, give it a go. I'm
Yeah.
always happy to hear new voices. Hear new talent.
Yeah. Sounds like fun. I mean, even if you say no, like at least you tried something, and even then, maybe you might give some like feedback to be like, "Oh, I could try that next time," and you might get it
Yeah,
next
exactly.
time.
I mean, I'm
So,
usually giving feedback like, hey, maybe you should get a like different microphone, or perhaps you should try using your voice in this way. It's just like small things.
yeah, yeah, that's pretty good. Actually, it's
Yeah.
kind of funny to think about it because my first time playing D&D was tabletop, like actually like in person. It was one
Yeah.
session. I told you, like the son of the dude who was in charge of the house. He had a big house, by the way. He's a lawyer. Dude, his house was so big. I don't even think I explored like 5% of his house. It was crazy. But anyways, it was interesting because like we were there and like these people took RPing very seriously to the point that me as like a new player sitting there like they're like speaking to me like full accent and everything. I'm just like, uh, uh, I don't know
Yeah,
what to
it can be
say.
pretty daunting, huh?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh yeah, especially for a new player. Like they're not used to like the interactive role play aspect of it because they
yeah,
think it's just like a game like I don't want to say Monopoly, but just kind of
yeah.
like a board game where people come together and just, play the game.
Well, it's like you just talk to a guy that's speaking just like you and me, and all of a sudden, like we're playing the game, and all of a sudden he's like speaking completely differently and like really good accent, really into the character. Like, Jeff? Oh, you're not Jeff?
Yeah, like I'm very good at doing different voices when I'm comfortable with it,
Yeah,
but it also really rats my throat because I'm used to not talking for a
yeah.
while. This is probably the most I've talked in the past few weeks.
Dang, you haven't even talked that much yet.
Yeah, I don't need to talk very much when I'm at home.
Yeah, I'm the same way. YouTube does the talking
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same thing because when I'm at work, I'm usually like silent, but when I'm doing like Twitch or YouTube, I'm like, you hear me talking a lot. I always try to keep on talking because that brings the engagement.
Yeah, I'm the kind of person that I don't talk to myself, but I think out loud.
And sometimes that's the best way to go about things. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah,
but it's kind of
especially if
bad
you're
when you
recording
curse
it.
in your head a lot. Out in public, cursing in your head, you're like, oh, god dang it, F bombs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Battle Pup, I have a question for you. So, you were
Yeah.
planning on starting a new campaign, and this is kind of like on the not battle. I keep wanting to say battlegrounds because BG. But anyways, so how do you feel that playing Baldur's Gate has it affected you as wanting to be a DM? Do you think it's affecting how you're setting up your campaign, how you're going to play, like how you're going to, I guess, govern the game? Like, how do you think Baldur's Gate 3 is going to affect you, or has affected you as building your world for the most part?
It it's affected me a bit because
Hmm.
I was still pretty new to setting up
Yeah,
encounters and all that. Playing Baldur's Gate 3 helped me get a better grasp on how to make encounters, set up areas to create a world. And after I played Baldur's Gate 3, I remembered Critical Role, who does the Vox Machina.
yeah,
They have their own animated TV show now, and that's really good stuff.
yeah,
And I was watching this, and after I played Baldur's Gate 3, I went with the okay, how about instead of me going with something that I'm not too familiar with, because there are a bunch of different planes and
yeah,
different settings for the world of D&D, because it's a multiverse. I was like, how about I just take a similar setting of high fantasy
yeah.
and make my own world around it.
Okay.
And after playing the Baldur's Gate 3, that really gave me inspiration on how to set it all up.
Like, so, what's like the biggest thing you think is like, I guess, affected your, how to put this? What's the biggest thing that you think has affected your setting up of your campaign? Like, what do you think has been the biggest influence of Baldur's Gate 3?
I'd have to say the biggest influence would probably be how to do the story beats and interactions with the characters. Because the story is something that I usually have a hard time figuring out. Like, okay, you have a quest to go here, but why do you want to go here? With Baldur's Gate 3, you are given a very simple explanation of you want to find a cure for the worm in your head for Act 1.
Yeah,
And that's the basis for a lot of Act 1.
yeah,
So that really gave me an idea for how to conduct the
mhm,
various portions of the campaign
yeah.
I'm working on.
Okay. Yeah, it sounds like, especially the people in my Discord server, like they seem to be very, also Discord server. Make sure you join it. But they seem to be very, very impressed by what you've done. I've read a little bit because you posted when I was at work, and I kind of keep forgetting to like read everything. But what I read, man, it's like holy crap.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
have
I
yourself a
came
good
up with
start.
that.
Yeah,
I was just thinking about it
yeah,
one day. I write books on the side.
yeah,
I'm not published or anything, but I enjoy writing and creating worlds and
yeah.
settings.
Yeah, that was the thing that got me excited about the previous campaign that we tried to start. Is I was like, oh, cool, I can help write a story, which was fun. But like the lack of help or direction was just like, okay, I can't do this. So that's why I also offered to, if you want a little bit of a twist, I could sit out for that one little session, help you write a cool little plot twist.
Yeah, I think that would be great because it's not just the DM that is conducting the story. The players and the
Yeah,
interactions they do help create the story.
yeah, quote unquote. That's kind of what got me in trouble with the last session. Is I was sitting out for two sessions, not session, last campaign. So I sitting out for two sessions, and so the DM was like, "Hey, this is what I think I'm gonna do. Like, do you think of anything?" And like, I kind of gave some ideas, which they ended up using, but the co-DM wanted to kick me because he's like, "You were telling her what to do," and I'm like, "She asked me, and I wasn't even playing."
Okay, that's just
Yeah,
no.
Yeah, that's a big no.
yeah,
Because, like Claude said, this is a group effort.
yeah,
And if you want the campaign to succeed,
yeah.
you want to listen to everybody's opinions. It's why
Oh,
I'm.
oh my God, Claude, you want to hear this real quick?
Oh,
So,
go for it.
also, the co-DM got mad at me. Okay, so full disclosure, I was playing a bard, by the way. What are
Oh,
bars
geez.
known? What are bars known for?
Playing
Well, I
music
can't
and
say
getting
that
into
to
shenanigans.
YouTube.
Getting
So
shenanigans or being kind of a flirt.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I got
we'll say
stuck in a
that.
point where there was a kitsune that was a kitsune, by the way. Kitsune's chef's kiss. Love them. Anyways, I
Yeah.
was stuck in a room with a kitsune, and I was like, I need to get out. And I was like, can I roll to seduce? And the co-DM was like, that was disrespectful. I was like, I'm a bard. What do you expect? I thought it was funny. But that was one of their
Um,
that was one of the reasons for kicking me. Just like that was very unprofessional. That was very immature. I'm like,
yeah.
he's a
But
bard.
that's a bard.
It's a bard.
I mean, a good DM would do one of two things. Either A, give an explanation as to why you can't, either through their own mannerisms or perhaps like there is something about them that prevents them from being charmed. You know, not the condition, but actually being charmed. Or you can just let it happen. Say, hey, you know what? You can try. Roll
Yeah.
to persuade. You
Well, I
know?
rolled to
Yeah.
persuade.
But
Yeah.
the thing with D&D is there can be shenanigans that happen,
Yeah.
and it's up to the DM to figure out how it could work,
Yeah.
and if it's funny, then go for it. But that just sounds like severely limiting what a player can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of those
And we-
situations where like when you're going through it, you're like stressed out, and then once it's over and they kicked me from the campaign, I was like, wow, that was a shitty campaign. And even you, Battle Puppy can attest to this. Like, I was asked to play multiple times by the last person, and I kept saying no. I said, I don't want to play. I want to play with you. I'll help you write a story, but I want to play because my
Yeah,
experience was so bad.
I had a similar experience a
Yeah.
few years ago. We weren't playing D&D 4th edition
Yeah.
or anything like that because this was before 5th
Yeah.
came out. We were playing Pathfinder, and if you've played Pathfinder, Pathfinder is a little more video game-esque
Hmm.
compared to D&D.
Okay.
I had a uh, DM that was really new to it, and he became a rules lawyer, where everything that was in the guidebook you follow to the letter.
Yeah.
well, objection, Your Honor.
Yeah, pretty much.
Objection.
And it was fine for a while because I was still figuring things out, but then I became more interested in DMing myself. So I read the DM guidebook for Pathfinder,
Hmm.
and through reading it, I was like, "You're not really DMing how in a great way. You're really limiting people, or creating these Deus Ex Machina characters that are
Yeah.
really taking away from it." And it would be fine for a while,
Yeah.
and then there would be a rotation of new people coming in and out because
Yeah.
schedules change,
Yeah.
people don't have time for it,
Yeah.
and we came across a big rules lawyer of a PC and
Well,
was like,
that
Yeah.
"No, you can't do that. That's not possible."
reality is how I create it.
And that kind of soured my experience with a D&D stuff for a while, but
Yeah.
I still enjoyed making homebrews and stuff,
Yeah.
so I did that.
I
Yeah.
think I had a maybe not a role as a lawyer situation, but I
Mhm.
remember when I first started DMing. There was this player. I'm just going to call him Heaven because that was the name of his character.
Mhm.
Heaven, throughout the story, didn't seem like he did too much to make the group angry, at least from my eyes at the
Mhm.
time. But I remember one interaction where like he was kidnapped by his BBG.
Mhm.
He ended up stealing dragon blood along with several different chemicals and decided to mix them all together. Now, I let it through because, hey, you know what? Might be interesting. I wrote up a list of 50 different possible results that he would transform into. The lower end being, no, excuse me. Yeah, the lower end being like a gecko, and then the higher 20 slot being Tiamat, thinking, hey, that'll be
Mhm.
funny. But during the time when it came to one of my other players trying to get information out of another BBG, like about their character,
Mhm.
it just so happened that I'd like to link my players' NPCs together, just for thematics. Well, Heaven ended up going to the other player's BB&G. He put the potion in his mouth, and I had him roll a d20. You can guess what he rolled.
Nat 1?
No,
Nat
he
20?
rolled the nat 20 that had the Tiamat on it, and Aspen, Jade's character, so you know what? I'm not dealing with this. I am out of here, and she bulked it, and it created a good moment for one of my other players because his name was Terra. He was a druid. He ended up using planar binding against the Tiamat, which in retrospect wouldn't have worked. But I thought the idea of this druid trying to save this kingdom from an artificial Tiamat using a spell that he had in his possession would be really cool. So the Tiamat ended up attacking itself, and essentially, defeated it in that way. So, while I didn't like how the player took the agency away from player
Yeah.
number 4's BBG, it did lead way to open for another player to essentially get the glory in
Yeah.
a lot of ways, which not exactly how I wanted it, but that's an example of how like one player can change the dynamic for good and bad,
Yeah, not gonna lie. When you said Tiamat attacked itself, it made me think of Pokemon. So and so is confused. So and so hurt themselves.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Yeah. And luckily, we got rid of that player after the start of the second campaign
Yeah.
because he was being, he was not respecting the wishes of another player that we had, so we had to
Yeah.
kick him out.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's not great.
But mostly using different pronouns than what they were comfortable with. So
Oh,
yeah, just go in
Oh,
that direction,
interesting.
yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, like when it comes to stuff like that, sometimes people just say the wrong pronouns by accident. They don't usually mean any offense. Some people do take like great offense to it, but if the person
No,
who's
he would intentionally. He would
yeah,
intentionally say that.
yeah.
If you're
So
doing it intentionally,
yeah,
that's
if
not
you're
great.
intentionally going your way, then fuck you. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. So we
You
kicked him
don't have
out,
any room here because it's just like
and
at
with
that
his new
point.
character.
Yeah. So like for instance, like the artist I was talking about that I've been playing on my streams, the Amazing Brando,
Mhm.
they were born as a male. They went by, I believe their name was Brandon, I think, but now they go by Jamie and they are transgender. And so sometimes I will refer to Jamie as he or him by accident. It's not intentional at all. And but the thing is like I'm not doing it on purpose. I'm not doing it to be mean. It's just
Yeah,
literally
it's a slip of the tongue.
it's
When you're
slip
used
of the
to someone
tongue.
being one way.
Yeah, I have a cousin that transitioned about 10 years ago, and
Yeah.
I usually stick with they them
Yeah. Me too.
I
Yeah.
so that I can, keep myself in the middle, and if they correct me, they correct me.
Yeah.
But I would for a while call them a she,
Yeah.
and but with their old name. It took me a while to get out of that habit, but it wasn't malicious, and I kept trying to fix that, and
Yeah.
now I'm
Yeah.
more of I'm just gonna call them they them,
Yeah.
and if
Mhm.
they correct me, I'll switch it up and
Yeah.
call them what they would like me to.
So
Yeah.
Derek, who we played with the other day, I guess he has like a cousin that transitioned from female to male, and he told me that I guess they went off on him, and it kind of made me think about the whole situation. And we're not going to get too political with this, don't worry about it.
Of
But like
course.
whenever
Yeah.
somebody wants to change their pronouns, I think part of that too is that they need to understand there might be people that have called you Josh or Jane or whatever for years and years and years, or he, him, or she, her. And yes, it's a big change for you, but it's also a change for them. They have to rewire their brains because when they see you, like our brains are lazy. They take shortcuts. They take a lot of shortcuts for
Yeah.
things. So I might see you, Claude, and be like, oh, he, him. Or, but I might think Claude, you might be like, I don't want to go by Claude anymore. I want to go by Cloud because I'm fucking
Cloud.
Final Fantasy
Cloud
7.
Strife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Cloud
call it,
Strife.
I actually joke with Jade. I always call you Claude Strife. But anyways,
Yes.
Lots
yeah.
three.
Yeah, but yeah, he told me like his cousin went off on him one time. I was like, man, maybe you should just sit down with her and just be like, listen, this is not just a change for you, it's also a change for me. Obviously the change is bigger for you, but I do have to adjust how I react to you because I've known you as so and so for so long. I've reacted to you
Yeah,
this way. And whenever people get misgendered by accident and they go off on people, I'm just like, please, man, don't do that because you're not helping the cause at this point. You're making people want to, because when you attack people, they start digging the little trenches, they start sitting there because people don't like being wrong. If people make a mistake, let them address the mistake. That's kind of my outlook on it.
Yeah. And that was kind of the problem that I
Yeah.
had with this one player
Yeah.
going into campaign 2, where he did not respect the players in that way, and also he derailed a lot of the plot points that we had,
Yeah.
So we kicked him out. His first character, I brought him back as a legacy character. I did show the character. It wasn't the character that was the issue. So
hmm
he actually turned out to be a fairly interesting character I ended up writing for. But his
hmm
other character Ezekiel,
hmm
well, long story short, he wanted to get into like this party that was going on.
Yeah.
So he had the blacksmith get him in. Well, the blacksmith thought that, hey, he wanted to be an apprentice. So he ended up taking the sorcerer, who can't cast magic because the blacksmith had an anti-magic stone on him because, the shop kept getting robbed. And well, Ezekiel is now working at a blacksmith with a 6 strength. So imagine that.
Nice.
Yeah,
Sorry, I'm typing something real quick.
it's okay. But yeah, and just like when it comes to problem players, I have problems with it as well because I
Yeah.
don't always recognize that if someone's being a problem player, and I try to work with people a lot of the times, and especially if you guys are getting into D&D,
Yeah.
make sure everyone is
Yeah.
okay with certain topics and certain things first, making
Well,
sure everyone is all right.
in a way, as a DM, that's kind of a good thing because I mean, you should definitely recognize somebody's a problem player, but the fact that you don't is probably a good thing in some ways because it's like you were saying, like being the what was it, like the rule lawyer or whatever. Like
Yeah, rules lawyer.
just because you don't like how a particular player is playing doesn't mean they're vibing badly with your players, and vice versa. Just because they're vibing badly with your players doesn't mean they're doing something wrong. Maybe there could be something simple you can address about that. So the fact you're not quick to be like, oh, they're a problem player is a good thing. You seem like the kind of person. This is what also Jade kind of her talking about you. It seems you're willing to work with people a little bit more than you probably should. I will admit that
Yeah,
a little bit more,
I will admit that
but
as well. I am
yeah.
very bad at
But the
just
fact that
interactions
you
like
are
that.
giving people the chance to actually play better, not even play better, just vibe better with the people, shows that you're being a good DM because you're at least doing everything you can. Because at the end of the day, it's a group effort. It's a bunch of people. They're
Yeah.
relying on you as the DM to do, make sure the game goes smoothly. And if there's issues, part of the DM's job, sadly, is to help resolve those issues. And a lot of times, I think a lot of DMs get entrenched in whatever the fuck's going on, and they just don't want to work on it. They don't want to take the time. But it could be just as simple as just sitting two people down for 5 minutes and just be like, "Oh, I don't like when you call me this," or like when you talk to me like this. Oh,
Yeah, I'm
I'm
definitely
sorry, I
getting a
didn't
lot
know
better
that.
with it.
Yeah, it's because it's like my outlook on life is I don't feel that I'm in the right. I can be upset with somebody, but I don't feel like I have the right to be mad at them if they don't know what they're doing is affecting me,
Hmm.
if
Yeah,
that
like
makes
for me in
sense.
particular, like I've been now making sure, like, hey, if one player's having problems with the group, or talk
Yeah,
about it as a group, or I'll have them type
yeah,
in the group messages just to get their input or
yeah,
whatnot, so that way there'll be open communication about these things.
yeah,
Because uh, one thing to note, if you guys are planning to DM, communication is everything. Like,
yeah.
I know that's a simple concept, but there are a lot of DMs that I've had over the years that just don't communicate with the players well, and
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
That
when
was the
games
issue
can
with
fall
the last
apart.
person.
especially with a
Yeah.
game like D&D where there are so many people that can be in a game and so many things going on. You need to be
Yeah.
communicating. Even if it's just a bit, you need to try and do a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take a little restroom break. Y'all keep talking. I'll be back in like a minute.
Okay.
All right, take your time. But yeah, but otherwise, D&D can be probably one of the most enjoyable experiences that you can possibly have with a group of friends. Because yeah, essentially we're playing make. You know, don't we all want to go back to being that kid that we imagine
Yeah.
that we're pirates out at sea, or just like
Just
exploring
letting
new
your
planets.
imagination go a little wild and having fun with people along the way.
Yeah, exactly. And especially now that Baldur's Gate 3 is out, I think there's going to be maybe not that much more of a flux in people looking into D&D 5e, but I think more are willing to give it a shot because this is kind of what you would think of a D&D game, cooperative
Yeah.
gameplay with, unique interactions with other NPCs and players.
Yeah, and it's a lot more approachable for people that aren't very familiar with this kind of concept. For me, I was always having a hard time coming to grasp with how D&D really worked, and
Hmm.
Baldur's Gate 3 definitely helped me get that clarified in my head with how it would
Yeah.
work.
And honestly, if Larian ends up making a Dungeon Master mode for this game, I think that'd bring even more people into the forefront.
Oh yeah,
Making
definitely.
Dungeons and Dragons campaigns with the Larian assets like they did in Divinity 2. Oh, that would be so amazing.
Yeah, that would be amazing if they did that.
And it makes
It may
sense, you know?
happen, it may not happen, because I've heard that they're not planning on doing any DLC, for example, but they're definitely gonna keep supporting the game.
I don't think they said they do any paid DLC. I mean, obviously
Yeah.
they're going to add more content over the years, and well, they sort of did that with Divinity 2, where they've added like the gift bag system. Like, hey, you get some free stuff, free downloadable content and such, and they could make the Dungeon Master mode its own free thing. We don't
Yeah,
know.
and if they do, I can definitely see a lot of people gravitating to Baldur's Gate 3 because you have the environments, you have all the mechanics already there, and if
Not
you
to
want,
mention, you also have, in terms of the Dungeon Master mode, it's already there in Divinity 2.
yeah,
Tweak some
yeah,
things and just work on it, maybe add some new like things here and there, and you've got a recipe for one of the best tabletop experiences in a video game format.
yeah, exactly. And I haven't really gotten into Divinity 2 very much, but the bones that were there just got refined for Baldur's Gate 3, and it is
Yeah.
amazing.
And you can definitely see the progression between each game. Like how far Larian has come since Divinity 1.
Yeah, I like the games. I never really got into the tabletop RPG type games because it would make my eyes hurt a little bit because I'm
Mm-hmm.
used to third person perspectives, being behind the character and seeing everything similar to Dragon Age, for example. But
Mm-hmm.
the way they made these games, it helps. They know what they're doing with all these angles.
Yeah, and they don't rush things out. Yes, you can sort of say Baldur's Gate 3 was a little rushed, but from my understanding, it wasn't the fact that they were just getting it out for the sake of getting it out. They ran out of money, they ran out of time, and, well, they were banking on Baldur's Gate 3 to be a success in order to continue support. And sure enough, 850,000 on PC alone. I imagine an easy 5
Yeah,
mil by the time we're done with the macro, you
The
know?
game was so good that other freaking game companies got mad. Like, how dare they release a game that's complete that runs well on day one for cheaper than we're
the
charging for our freaking broken game?
The biggest complaint I heard from big AAA developers was that you should not expect us to pump out a game of this type of quality all the time.
Well, I don't know. I have expected a lot of these big companies like Rockstar, like Square Enix, to
Yeah.
have like that quality behind their titles, especially for the legacy they put in it. Now, for studios like, man, what's a good smaller studio? Um, like Sucker. No, I don't want to say Sucker Punch is a smaller studio anymore. But
You can speak in like past perspective when they used to be a smaller studio.
yeah, oh yeah, like Past 10, yeah.
Yeah.
Older Sucker Punch, they didn't really have the funds. They'd make
Yeah.
like the best and brightest game, but they made a game with style, with substance, and it was enjoyable from beginning to end with no BS in between, you know?
Yeah.
So, especially now with game companies complaining about essentially making a quality game
Hmm.
compared to Baldur's Gate. Now, yes, Baldur's Gate is a really great game,
Yeah.
but you should be striving for that level of quality, not necessarily having that much quality,
Yeah,
but
not one
having
to
a
one,
game.
but at least
Yeah,
striving to get to there.
yeah, and especially with a lot of games, like coming out that a lot of companies they think, oh yeah, we need to have battle passes, we need to have you know so many
Diablo 4
DLCs.
cough cough.
Yeah, exactly. It's just kind of like
The real game starts once you beat it.
Yeah,
the real
that's
game
just
starts when
ugh,
the real game starts once you buy that premium pass for the extra resource.
Yeah.
yeah.
But it's funny, like a good example of a bad game, in my opinion, is Diablo 4. I mean, the foundations were there for a good game, but
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like
Blizzard,
it plays well, it has a good story, albeit kind of not as good as previous titles. But then there are these very predatory tactics that they put into this game, like the battle pass system, and then having dark patterns in all of it. It's just,
and sadly, it does make money because a lot of people will push through the monetization just so that way they can experience like
Yeah,
that end game. I mean, $500,000 just to have an end game experience in Diablo? That
yeah.
should never
Just
have
look
to
at
force anything.
Diablo Immortal. Despite that game getting panned a bunch, it still made a ton of money.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm referring to. Yeah, it's just like it's ridiculous to say the least.
Well, they were also like
And
running like little simulations to see how much, like how long will it take you to get like the orbs or crystals or whatever the heck they were, like the gems. And it was like, dude,
Yeah,
so much money needed to be spent just to get one top quality gem. It was like, holy
and
crap.
it wasn't just one gem. They had different
Yeah,
currencies,
yeah,
different things that did this, and then they had all these number generations and all these different
yeah,
affixes that meant
yeah.
pretty much the same thing.
and let's bundle all that
Mhm,
together. Now, if they just took the time that
mhm.
they had putting into those systems into making a complete experience, not necessarily like a good quality experience like Baldur's Gate, like a complete experience like Baldur's Gate is, they will be making more money because they're not wasting resources trying to, okay, how do we nickel and dime? How do we implement this? How you're taking features out? Okay, let's sell them, later. But
Yeah,
Baldur's Gate proves that you can make a complete game for the base price, $60 or 70, whichever one you're paying,
yeah,
and still be profitable.
And
Because
I can argue that Baldur's Gate 3, yes, I prefer to pay $60, but if you're gonna start charging $70, this is the kind of quality I expect
yeah.
for a $70 game.
Even on top of that, the game is so complete and so well done on the base level that most likely people are going to buy the DLC. They're going to You can nickel and dime at this point for little things because the game is a complete game. They don't need it. They don't need that nickel and diming stuff, but it's great because we know it works because the game works.
yeah, and also I'm putting this into perspective. Going back to Baldur's Gate 3,
Yeah,
just the PC alone is about 850,000 minimum players. I'm just going to put there.
Yeah, it
yeah,
was
Selling at about $70 each, let's just say. So this is not taking into account of cost or anything.
yeah.
They would have already made back $59 million on just that alone.
yeah, and they weren't expecting that many people. They were
Exactly.
expecting maybe 100,000.
Yeah, so they're definitely earning, like, they definitely deserve all that profit, at the end of the day.
I
Dude,
Now the
also
like they
company
think
did a
it
needs
good
to
job.
look at
So
them. Yeah.
I also think it's funny that the current term for Baldur's Gate 3 that came from it was content complete.
I mean, all games are supposed to be complete,
But this term
not
has
Kingdom
been
Hearts.
it's hilarious
Okay,
that
you got a point there, but Kingdom Hearts, it's a Nomura type of game, so you can understand why it's not complete.
Sorry about it, puppet. I just had to make that joke.
no, it's okay.
What were we saying?
Uh I just think it's funny that a game like this from a relatively small studio, if I remember right, Larian
Yeah,
has I think 500 employees when I last
Yeah,
checked.
something
yeah,
like that. And they're a privately owned company too, so they're not like public like a lot of
Uh,
major
I
companies.
I think it's funny that this indie game by indie standards came in and said, "This is how you make a fucking content complete game. Take it or leave it. This is it."
Yeah,
yeah.
and they even said in their own forums like there's no microtransactions, there's no like extra content, there is no like battle passes or anything. We want to give you that complete experience. A company going out and saying that, it should be applauded, and it has been applauded. You
And
can't say that
they're
about Blizzard or
and they're
EA.
coming in with all these new patches. Patch 2 added a bunch of new dialogue for like Tarlac that wasn't in the base game.
Yeah, and they fixed a lot of the things that Act 3 needed, in order
Yeah.
to function proper, which is great, because you didn't have to wait that long, like maybe a couple weeks, whereas other games would be like 2 years down the line.
Or longer because oh yeah we can't do that right, oh wait, you need to be patient with us, or you could pay us a bunch of money and maybe we'll get it done faster.
By
Diablo
faster,
4.
they mean releasing it before it's done.
Yeah.
EA and their sports styles.
Oh yeah, they
Madden
just released one
24,
of those very
everybody.
recently, didn't they?
Yeah, Madden 24, that is holy shit,
I
what
thought
the
it was
fuck.
NBA 2K, right?
Well,
Well,
they
probably all of them,
2K
to
is
be
owned
honest.
by well, not 2K is not owned by
Oh,
EA.
That's right. Okay, so EA, I'm thinking about the 2K one that I literally saw like a screenshot and like the dude's like mouth was like out of his face and his eyeballs were like bulging.
Oh yeah, that was the NBA game. Yeah,
Yeah.
I those are examples of games that are just like, what the hell is going on here?
Well, when it comes to those two, it's literally the game they released the year before. It's like nothing really changed other than maybe some stats or some rosters. It's like,
Mhm.
how is it like that? It's like you released on the same console last year. What the heck, man?
Yeah, and
Yeah,
still
and
charging
that
70 plus bucks for
and it
Yeah.
makes me
this.
happy that games like Baldur's Gate come out every few odd years and
Yeah.
shake the foundations and make all these devs pretty much shit their pants and go,
Yeah.
we're not doing right. We're not going to be able to make money off the casual consumer.
Yeah.
I will say though that this is definitely the best year of gaming. There are a lot of great games that came out this
Yeah,
year.
this is a great year. I can say that for sure. There are so many games that are coming out or have come out that are just great.
This year makes me stressed and mad because there's so many good games. I don't know which one I want to play. And I keep looking at them on the, it's like having like 1,000 channels on your TV. I keep looking like, what should I watch? So what should I
Yeah,
play?
that's I don't know what it's called, but I there's actually a term for it. It's
Yeah.
similar to having too many books to read. You're kind of
Yeah.
like, there are so many books, but I don't know what to read.
Yeah. It's just like,
I get the same thing when I'm
yeah,
picking out a game.
like there's obviously one you probably have the most fun with, but just the options make you just think like, oh, if I could play this one, that might be fun with this. That it's just, ugh, drives me crazy. So it's a good thing, but it drives me crazy. Too many good games. They all need to be
Yeah.
played.
Yeah.
God dang it.
There-
I mean, it's better than the alternative. Nothing but bad games and only have one that is actually good, you know?
Well, the
Yeah.
start of this year made me a little worried with a lot of the big AAA games
Yeah.
that released, like Forspoken, or
I mean, we don't talk
Forgotten,
about that
or
game.
Forebroken, or Foreclosure.
I've never heard for broken.
It's now Foreclosure because that
The
game was
faux
bad
Final
enough that
Fantasy is
the
what I'm calling it.
studio got shuttered. And then Redfall came out shortly after, and that was a really big push in AAA game. And
Yeah.
And Golem. Oh,
yikes.
that was horrible.
Oh my God. I forgot about Golem.
You
And
see, that's the
oh
thing.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
Gollum.
not memorable for the. I mean, I would have loved a Golem game if they did it right.
Same
But
here because Gollum is a great character and he has interacted with so many characters in Lord of the
Yeah.
Rings because he's been alive for at least 500 years, if I remember right. He has
yeah,
done a lot of stuff. There is a
Literally,
lot to draw from.
every video of that game was literally people dunking on it. They completed the game. They did, but they were completing it to show you how bad it was.
and also I don't know if anyone noticed. I think it was Angry Joe's review. If you
Yeah,
take a look at the bottom screen, it would show the development build right there in the corner, and it wasn't
yeah,
even
I
at the
noticed that.
point. It wasn't even on the first version. It was like 0.4 or something like.
Wow.
I don't know how that game came to be, and it it could have been great. It could have been great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that just kind of gives you more than enough reason to appreciate Baldur's Gate for what they did. You know, they took their time.
They took their time, they took all the brunts from financial issues. They strove to get a complete game out there for everybody to enjoy. They got and they nailed it.
Yeah,
They knocked it out of the park.
and
Do you
I'm
know,
hoping they
guys?
add even more classes.
To
I
Baldur's Gate?
I actually saw a
Yeah.
mod for Baldur's Gate 3 that let people put more than 4 players, up
Oh
to
yeah.
8.
It breaks the game, but what doesn't in this?
But
Well,
I
then
thought that was
mod some
cool.
super bosses, super fights.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been watching the mod scene for Baldur's Gate 3,
Yeah.
and it's getting pretty cool what they're doing.
I mean, who doesn't like the handsome Gale mod? Come on.
Yeah,
You got to link that to me in Discord. I don't know what you're talking about, but that sounds funny.
Oh, basically, do you know the handsome Squidward meme?
Yes.
It's that, but for every character.
No, I'm not cultured enough to enhance the Squidward. I've lived
Oh,
under
you know.
a rock like Patrick Star.
But you know Patrick Star though.
Yeah, it's the joke.
Yeah, okay, you're just making sure. But yeah, it's just like someone made every single character with these big jaws, like the like better example, the Chad, the Mega Chad, whatever you want to call him.
Yeah.
Yeah, every character looks like him.
Really?
That's
Even
hilarious.
Big
the
jaw,
even the
like
female characters?
even the female characters, yeah,
Oh
like
my god.
these big jaws, like these
That's
small
funny.
eyes.
Chiseled out of marble.
Pretty
Oh, you
much.
should grate cheese on those apps.
But in terms of like interesting mods, someone went through and added the Artificer class into Baldur's Gate, which is just as good.
Really? That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, so that's something to check out as well.
Well, I don't usually play PC games, but this is one of the ones where I was like, I dusted off my old PC, got all the dog hair out of it, and started playing the game, so I can start modding stuff again.
Yeah, it's a good time, and I can't wait to see what Larian goes through, like for the future, like what they're going to add, what are they going to fix.
Have they announced that there's not going to be any DLC, or
well,
they just
they're
said
going
the
to
game's
take a
going to be
month off.
complete? Okay, yeah,
Yeah, they're going to
obviously
take a month off to relax, and then they're
after
going to
this
speak
game
to...
released, they deserve dude. They deserve like 12 months off, dude. Like we've been waiting years and years from these other
Well,
companies to like
they've
release a
also
game.
been pumping out big hot fixes and patches that are
Yeah.
not just fixing issues, they are adding things
Yeah.
Yeah.
for
So
free.
they said they're going to take a month off, and then afterwards they're going to get together and sit down what the next step for Baldur's Gate 3 would be.
Yeah, they definitely
That's
deserve a
amazing.
break because they've been putting in so much work into this game that
Yeah.
they probably didn't really need to, but they did it.
Yeah,
this
let's
game.
hope for the official Artificer class. Let's hope for more subclasses because I want to see. I'm trying to think. I want to see a Shadow Sorcerer in this game.
Yeah, that would be. I want to see more. And if they can't do it because sometimes developers don't have time for it,
Which is fine. Hey, what they
maybe
got is good.
modders can put it in.
Exactly.
I've seen
I'm
them
sure
put in
someone
some
has.
crazy stuff.
Dude, modders are really good, man. Like modders fix stuff that even the companies can't fix.
Yeah, let's get the Kobold as an official race in Baldur's Gate. I want to see
Oh,
that. They
yeah.
have the models for it. They have the animations.
Yeah.
Might as well go for it. You know what? This is a race now.
Cool.
There's actually mods adding in different races that I
know, I've
saw.
seen that too.
And it's great to see that all these modders are just going with these new things and adding more to an already great game.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm really glad Larian gave them the thumbs up. They're like, here's the dev kit. They literally just put out their dev kit. Hey, there you go, guys. Make some fantastic mods. Enjoy.
Yeah, that is such a good move
That
from
sounds
them.
like Bethesda before the Creation Club.
Well, Bethesda still does that with
Yeah.
their stuff. The Creation Club is just paid mods or just DLC. And they still let people do their mods. Like Starfield is getting a bunch of mods to make Starfield a Star Wars game, which is pretty cool.
Do you think if my computer can run this game, it can run Starfield?
It probably
I'm sure
could.
it can. I don't see why not.
Also, Claude, so yesterday, I think it was yesterday, I messaged you asking about your computer setup and stuff like that because I remember Jay was saying you had issues with streaming this game, and your computer
it's just
beats mine by a lot. I don't know, maybe I know ultra high settings are super cool. You should maybe
I
move it
wasn't
down
on
to
ultra
medium.
high settings. I was just on high settings.
Yeah, maybe move down to.
did.
I haven't changed any of the settings at all, and like it ran just fine for me. Maybe it just the settings are too high for your graphics card.
It might have just, it might have been. I'll have to take a look at it because I really wanted to stream this game, but my computer just said no. You have to
Battle
stick with
Pupper was
retro
there.
games.
I tried to use my capture card, and I eventually it kind of crashed, and I was like, screw it, I'm just gonna try to do it for my PC. I was like, oh shit, it actually is actually
Yeah, it was
streaming.
working just fine on his capture card, and then we did something, and it made the entire stream crash essentially, and so he switched it over to his primary card on his computer and didn't route it through the capture card, and it worked even better.
Yeah,
it might have also just been my Streamlabs. I mean, that could also be.
Yeah, Streamlabs I've seen can have some issues with things.
I wouldn't be too married to certain things like that. Like, so the thing is, like, I used to do like restream like until like 2 weeks ago when I hit affiliate on Twitch. but I would used to stream directly from my PS4 or PS5, whatever. Sometimes you just got to just be like, screw it. I don't need to use this third party program. I'm just going to play this game. It's not going to be as polished of a stream as I usually would. Like, i.e., like, somebody follows, you don't get the whole like, so and so followed, But, at the end of the day, you're having fun. You're showing content to your people, and it's, having a good time.
Exactly. And hey, congratulations on becoming an affiliate. You're joining the club.
I
Yeah,
literally
that's a
spent
great milestone.
I literally spent a year on YouTube streaming, and I didn't get any money. And I was like, screw it. One day I was having a bad stream on YouTube, and I was like, I'm done streaming tonight. I was like, you know what? Let me just try Twitch. 5 weeks later,
Well, I mean,
making money. You gotta be kidding
I'll
me.
tell you this: don't go into Twitch thinking that you're going to get money. Like, I've been on Twitch for about 2 years now, and I'm only making at the average $7 a month. Don't
Yeah.
go into it thinking that you're going to get a lot of money. Just have fun with the games and your community. Let it grow,
Yeah.
and then there's going to be
Yeah,
people
that's
who
kind of
are
how I
gonna,
approach making my videos is don't go for the money, go for the fun. And I've been having so much fun making my videos.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
like even when I started doing YouTube, like making videos and stuff like 2, 3 years ago, I remember I was talking to my friend's wife and she started a family channel. Don't know how y'all feel about those. I kind of have a little bit of a weird feeling about them, but she made one. And I remember talking to her about it. She kept talking about it like, oh, hitting monetization. I'm just like, just okay. It was everything she said was around monetization. I'm like, I'm just making videos. I'm bored. It's COVID. Sick at home. I want people to interact with me. And even when it comes to streaming, like I can have 30, 40 people in my freaking stream. If nobody's talking, I'm not having fun. I can have 2 people in my stream. If one person's talking to me, interacting with the stream, I'm having the best time of my life.
And yeah, that's kind of like the best feeling,
Yeah.
when you're talking to someone, interacting, and just bringing that excitement,
Yeah. So you said you had to work on some D&D stuff, correct?
Yes, I am actually working on not D&D specifically, but just for context for everyone, I am making my own tabletop RPG. It's called Infinite Generation Revision 2. It is a tabletop RPG based off of the Dot Hack universe. All the
Nice.
documents are in my Discord. I am currently prepping for a game today, using that system. So
Link that Discord in the chat real quick.
And if
yeah,
anybody's interested, I've looked over it myself. It's really cool.
yeah, about I want to say like 100+ pages, maybe 150 at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
of
it's
content,
very in depth,
so-
and I'm very impressed with it.
Yeah, thank
It
you.
sounds
Yeah,
so
I'm gonna
cool.
go ahead and put my
Yeah.
Discord into the chat right
Also,
now.
I'm going to give you the rights to post and certain things in my Discord channel if you have stuff you want to like announce and stuff like that too.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll talk to my other mod who is better at that than me. Tell him to give you
Yeah.
the rights and stuff like that. Like any videos you post to YouTube, boom, just post it there. You
Boom,
can
it's
add
there.
everybody. It's all good. I don't mind the add
Yeah.
everybody's as long as people aren't using it like all the time.
Yeah. And if you guys want to try out Infinite Generation Revision 2, head to my Discord under the tabletop RPG section, and then you can just download the PDF for free, and then take a look at yourself. For those of you who want to hop into the world.
Nice. You have a video coming out like in the next like couple weeks, right? Battle Puppet.
Battle Puppet. Excuse me.
Well, you too,
Sorry.
both y'all. Like if you
Yeah,
have
I
any
do,
videos
yeah.
you want to shout out, shout out right
um,
now. Yeah.
You can go ahead and talk your things, T. I don't
Are
mind.
you sure? I mean, gentleman before beauty,
Well, I'm still working on the bones and everything.
Yeah.
So I'm good for a bit.
Yeah.
All right.
And I will be releasing GUA, Dot Hack GUA Abridged episode 6 here real
Nice.
soon. I'm currently working on that, so expect that within the month.
Within the month.
Because
this
I
month
think I'm
or
just waiting
within
on
the
one
next
more
4
voice.
weeks.
Within the next 4 weeks. Mostly because procrastination and I'm waiting on one more voice. I just need one more voice to get back to me.
Nice.
Yeah, and I'm working on Yakuza Kiwami 2, and I'm hoping if I am able to get all the recording right, and if I'm in the right writing headspace, I handwrite all my scripts. So that it's how I get all my ideas on paper. It helps. I'm hoping maybe I'll get that done this week and maybe post it up next week.
Nice.
Hey, looking forward to it.
Yeah, I need to start making regular YouTube videos again. I've been doing like the gameplay where I talk over it, trying to find some good topics. If you have anything to suggest, even like little like gripes, like you, Claude, you're at work, you're like, this really grinds my gears. You're like, this is an interesting topic. Send it to me, and I might have
Yes,
an idea
like,
about it.
there's a topic that I think, but I'm not right now. But like, oh man, you need to explore this topic. Look at games that never got recognition, like Dot Hack.
Dude,
Yeah, Dot Hack did not get any recognition, that's for sure.
I played the one on PS2. I loved it. The first one. The second one, I started playing it. My brother sold the game. Didn't get to beat it. But the Dot
Well,
Hack, I watched the first Dot Hack sign. I watched the first episode. I was like, I'm gonna watch this series, and like I
yeah,
forgot to
I
rewatch
watched
it.
the anime and I didn't know that it was from a game series.
Oh,
I
it
found
is.
out it was from a game series well after the PS2 era. I think this was in between PS3's life cycle
Yeah,
before PS4. So I found out that these games were real games and the anime was
yeah,
based off them,
yeah,
and I was like, oh, I want to buy them, and then you
yeah.
find them and
Yeah, there's a small subsect of
Oh,
We have a small community in the Dot Hack
yeah,
circle, and hey, the
yeah,
more people that know about it, the more that we can get those games into the modern era. Because the original Quadrody, I don't mean to keep us hold up since, and I think we're ending it here soon,
yeah.
but like, um, Bandai just does not like Dot Hack for some reason.
which is weird because Bandai likes to embrace some of their older titles.
Like, and I think Bandai is more interested in pumping out Sword Art Online games. Ugh, Sword Art.
I
Yeah,
like Sword
I
Art
don't have
Online,
any,
but it got bad after the first half. After the
I
first
don't
half,
have
the first season
anything
was good.
bad. I don't have any issues with Sword Art Online. It's just the pacing after the first season, the actual first
Yeah,
season, not before he goes to Alfheim. It
yeah,
kind of loses its steam and it starts to just go all over the place. And then there are
yeah.
the games that are
Hmm.
kind of just eh,
I mean, the
That's
first
okay.
half
more
of
than
the
enough
first
reason to
season
check
was
out
really
Dot
good.
Hack.
It was really good, and then all of a sudden they go to Elfheim, and it's just like, no, you should have just made that season two. Because the thing about it is that they're stuck in the game, and it's crazy. And halfway through the first season, they get out. It's like, sorry, spoilers. It's like, why did you do that? It was so good. The second season
Yeah.
was also really good, but the first half was the good part, and the second half is Elfheim again, which is just like, make that a fucking season on its own, man. Please.
Yeah, I got into it again when Gundale Online
Yeah.
was the main focus. I thought
Yeah.
it was pretty cool, but they also made Kirito the Gary Stew.
Gary
And
Stew.
you know how a Mary Sue is a
Oh,
female character that is practically perfect in all ways?
yeah.
A Gary Stew is the male equivalent.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, the lightsaber deflecting bullets was pretty cool, but
Yeah. All right. Well, I
But
believe Claude needs to go do some D&D stuff.
yes, I've got some roleplay stuff to write out for my
Yeah.
games today. Al and Zell, if you're listening, I'll be there.
All right. I don't want to hold y'all guys up. Battle Puppy, if you want to keep chatting or even just play offline some not battle. Baldur's Gate 3, we could do that if you want to. But anyways, guys,
yeah,
go check out Battle Puppet and go check out Claude, i.e. Key to Darkness.
Yes. Yes, thank you all of you for having me, and I hope all of you people stay classy, stay beautiful, but most importantly, have a good role-playing session.
Yep. And you heard it here first, guys. Anyways, have a good one.